Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1490, 1490. We are getting so close to 1500. We are getting so close to my birthday. We are getting so close to Thanksgiving. We are getting so close. It's just like you want to say, back off! Today, the last place on earth, Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont, we hear from Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere, the engineer.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
If you want to hear a boring podcast, may I suggest to you everything else? Because this is the best one ever, yes.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The best one. Hey, I was listening to a podcast called The Economist, and they had on Rahm Emanuel. He's a Chicago politicianist, and he was talking, and oh my gosh, I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He talks weird. He's got like a mush mouth or something, and I'm praying for a Morrissey song.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Here is London, giddy London. Is it home of the free or what?
Mike's
That was my
Daily
Morrissey for you.
Podcast.
Today, a year ago, I discovered Morrissey Radio, and it's still on the air, internet radio station, and I was listening to it and listening to How Soon Is Now, and I need to watch a YouTube video or read a Wikipedia page about that song, because I got to find out how they did that through the whole song. How did they do that? Look who walked in. Hello, Mike Matthews, it's Chely Shoehart, the draft supervisor. Oh my god, what's that song? The one was the intro to Charmed on the WB back in the day. What's that movie TV show? Rose McGowan was on that. Rose McGowan is a very important person today. Yeah, she exposed Harvey Weinstein. Really got the fire lit to get Harvey Weinstein out of there. Now we've got Al Franken out of there. What do you think about that one? Okay. So we've got, let's see, Louis C.K., Harvey, got Roy Moore, and then all of a sudden Al Franken. What? Wait a minute. It was kind of a jump, but look who else walked in. Hello, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. No one should look like they are grabbing our breasts, even though they are underneath a Kevlar vest.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That's right. Even Kevlar vests cannot protect you from groping. It is a horrible thing. You know, I figured out today that I can't be a politician because I've never groped anyone. Well, I mean, I guess when I was married, I did some of that. I was married 8.5 years. There must have been some of that going on during that time. Wasn't there? It's so long ago, I don't remember. Oh, yes. Well, I hope your romantic life is exciting and full of friskiness. And that's what the show is about. No, it's not what the show is not that. It is about other, I guess, things going on in the world today. We take a little look at it. And we take a little, can we do a Paul McCartney accent? I was talking about Paul McCartney earlier. Can we do a little Lilliputian accent? Where's he from? Liverpoolian? I don't know. I can't do... You know, we used to have on Haley all the time on the show. For like 2 years straight, we had Haley on, which was great, because Haley is like 20 years younger than me, a total millennial, and he would totally set me straight on things. And in fact, he was pro-Bernie. At the time, I was not pro-Bernie. Nowadays, I wish I was pro-Bernie after everything that happened. I didn't like how it went down. Hillary Clinton, I wanted the first woman president, but shoot. Maybe, Russians. Let's blame it on the Russians. I think Bernie would have been a good candidate too. Now, in hindsight, of course, now that we've had Trump for a year, I don't know. Politics, it's weird. All I know is I went out and I voted. Did you? Oh, you did? Oh, you didn't? I still laugh at the millennial that I know, not Haley, but someone else I know who didn't vote. And Haley and I used to get into these conversations like, if you don't vote, what does that mean? And Haley said, I'm going to vote. I'm voting no matter what. And so, but this one millennial I know didn't vote because he got so mad. He didn't like Hillary. He didn't like Trump. He didn't want to do a write-in campaign because he thought that was throwing his vote away. So he didn't vote, and he got Trump, and then he got so mad and posted all the time on Facebook how angry he was. And I haven't talked to him in a while. This crazy kid. But he'll get it together someday. My point being that, do you remember back in the day, this may have been before your time, but there used to be this expression that was used a lot on TV, in fictional TV shows, like women saying, oh, he made a pass at me. I used to hear that expression a lot. Made a pass at. In fact, my mom told me a story about there was a family that used to they used to be our neighbors, but then they moved to the other side. I was growing up in the San Fernando Valley, and I think it was near the Hanson Dam area where the neighbors moved to. And they told my mom, hey, when your son gets out of school, since you work full time, we'll pick him up and take him home with us. And they had kids, 2 daughters, I think it was. I used to hang out with these cool girls my age. I think maybe they taught me things like how to sew. No, I think it was more like we played in the pool. They had a big doughboy pool. Doughboy, is that what they call them? The ones that sit on top of the ground? And if you, like, they'll break sometimes and the water will go all over your backyard. Oh, it was fun times. At any rate, apparently one day my mom came over to pick me up, and they had an RV in the front yard, and the husband was home, the wife wasn't. I think this is how the story goes. And the guy was like, hey, do you want to see the RV? And he made a pass at my mom in the RV, apparently. And I found out about this decades upon decades later. So my mom, as she told me this story, said he made a pass at me. So here we go in the world where we're now very sensitive to making a pass. And is it appropriate? And there you go. And maybe we all need training, because apparently at NPR, there's even more allegations coming out about other guys that were inappropriate around coworkers. Well, now how many people got married that worked together? That should be an interesting statistic to find. But I remember when Jay Leno was leaving The Tonight Show, and he was talking about how long he'd been on the show and how long he had done it, and said, oh, a lot of people met and got married and had babies on this show, he said. A lot of people meet at the workplace. Now, will that continue? Because we are very hypersensitive, and there's talk that companies have to, in the future, outsource human resources to pay extra special attention to what is going on with their workers. So, but at any rate, the Al Franken story is big in the news at the moment. Also, I wanted to mention 2 other things that sprung to mind yesterday, and that was Thanksgiving. I never worry what I'm going to do for Thanksgiving, because I seem to get invited to Thanksgiving. This year I was invited to the wonderful house of Bunny and her family, and they're awesome. But I remember last year getting invited by some friends, like absolutely last minute to the point that it was, oh, Mike, someone that was going to show up didn't show up, so you can come over now. And did I show up to that? Hell to the no, because I will never use that expression again. Sorry. I hate that expression. But I said no to that because, come on, I'm that much chopped liver to you. You invite me absolutely last minute. I haven't talked to those people since. But Bunny and her family, they're awesome. Hey, if you're named Bunny, you're awesome. Because I know 2 bunnies in the Bay Area. Bunny must be a big name in the Bay Area. Bunny Rabbit, and my dog, Basil the Boxer, loves to walk down this one street near my house in Podcastro Valley because there is a family that have 2 rabbits. And where there's 2 rabbits, there will definitely at some point be more. A lot more. But these 2 rabbits are always hanging out on the front lawn, and my dog loves to go by and look at these rabbits as I hold him back and then eventually have to pull him away because he is obsessed with the rabbits. They're different than cats because cats will just stare at you and look mad, whereas the rabbit will just kind of be, yeah, I'm hanging out, eating this grass with my big ears. So the podcast picture today is not of a rabbit, is not of a doughboy pool. It is of the big lake in Fremont called Lake Elizabeth. And this was actually during the rainy season last year, but because of the rain we had recently, I thought, hey, I will put this picture up. So you can see it at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. That is also where you can find the link to the Amazon rainforest or the Amazon website, one of those two. And if you're going to shop on Amazon, if you're going to do any shopping, go through that Amazon link at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. That helps us out. There's also the PayPal link if you'd like to help us out that way. You'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters and the podcast players, and they will say hi to you in a special MP3 that we will send to you. That's all at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, as well as all the past podcast pictures. Well, in New Delhi, the air has gotten so bad that some diplomats are packing their bags. New Delhi's diplomatic corps. Pollution levels in India this month are so bad, they are deciding maybe they should leave. Like Costa Rica's ambassador has already left the city after developing respiratory problems. Others are calling in sick to work or worrying about their children's health. Some missions, according to the Indian Express, have moved non-essential staff to nearby countries such as Singapore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has traveled extensively to boost India's international image and attract foreign investment, including a recent trip to Manila, where he met leaders at the Summit for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. But his efforts may be getting scuppered on home ground as diplomats gasping for air report home about the debilitating pollution crisis, according to the Washington Post. Pollution levels in November were 70 times over the safe limit as prescribed by the World Health Organization. And the air quality index reached 999 micrograms per cubic meter, the highest instruments can measure. A number of factors contribute to the spike, including crop burning in surrounding states, construction and vehicles in the city, and a lack of wind to blow the dust away. Now, this article by the Associated Press, there is selective outrage as Trump, he criticizes Franken, but he is silent on Roy Moore. Trump is displaying selective outrage over allegations of sexual harassment against prominent men in politics as his own tortured past lingers over his response. He moved quickly yesterday to condemn accusations against Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken as really bad. And, you know, Trump knows what's good and bad. Oh, and I can't find that one. Shoot. Right when I thought, you know, I need to get all my Trump sounders or drops organized better. Because I got this one.
Which is a very good thing. Which is a very, very good thing.
No, it is not a good thing because I don't have them organized. And I'm feeling like someone's moving them around when I turn my head. Am I being paranoid? Hey, quick little flashback to music. You know that song by Live called Turn My Head? Do you remember that one? It got some airplay. Oh, I love that song. All right, where was I? Okay, well, I'll play this one then.
Wrong.
And then I don't know where I know it is good and bad it went, but I bet that'll just miraculously pop up at the end of the podcast, possibly. Yes. Okay.
I inherited a mess. It's a mess.
Thank you, Trump. Yes, so he has repeatedly declined to follow Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan in calling on Moore to quit the race. Both had said they believe Moore's accuser. There's serious claims leveled against Roy Moore, the Republican in Alabama's special Senate race, who faces allegations he sexually assaulted teenage girls decades ago. With the nation confronting revelations of sexual impropriety by powerful men in entertainment and politics, Trump is an inconsistent as well as an unlikely critic of these alleged offenders. More than a dozen allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct were leveled against him in the waning days. And this screen is jumping up and down. I don't even know how anyone could possibly read this, but you know the rest. We've talked about it before. Okay, so we've got this story about Al Franken from Leanne Tweeden. And she said something that the Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken forcibly kissed and groped her, and said yesterday that Franken's forced kiss on her years ago was persistent and uncomfortable. Speaking on CNN's The Lead with Jake Tapper, she said that the incident, which occurred in 2006 before Franken was a senator, left her so angry, I was in disbelief. To this day, I talk about it and my hand clenches into a fist, she said. She explained the incident happened backstage before a USO skit after Franken suggested they rehearse the kiss scene. Despite reservations, Tweeden said she eventually agreed to it, and Franken put his hand on the back of my neck and comes in so fast, there was no finesse to it at all. Let's put it this way, and he just mashed his mouth to my lips. Ew.
It's difficult to do.
It is hard. Of course it is.
Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me it's why.
No. And that's not playing. Because of my crappy computer. Yeah, so she's been talking about that. Perhaps you've heard it. Happened before he was a senator. USO tour overseas. And that is, I guess we'll move on to something else since that page crashed. Robert Mueller has issued, and that was just MSN. I was looking that story up on MSN, and that was a CNN had posted on MSN, this story. So I guess you can go to CNN.com to see the entire interview with Leanne Tweeden. Leanne Tweeden, who is on KABC in Los Angeles. I didn't even know KABC was still on the air. You know what went off the air in Los Angeles yesterday was this station called The Sound that I have a friend, Trisha, who works at. Tina works there. Well, worked there. It went off the air, turned into a Christian station yesterday at about 1 o'clock. And, I would play that for you. Do you want to hear that? I might be able to make that play. Let's see. Will this play if I click on it? Here it is. Oh, yeah. This is what it sounded like. They played Beatles, the end, and then...
This has been KSWD Los Angeles. This is The Sound. And this stream will self-destruct in 3, 2...
Hope ignited. Lives changed. Hearts united. Positive. Encouraging. 100.3. KKLQ and KKLQ HD1 Los Angeles. The K-Love for Christian music. Sharing the love and hope of Jesus across Southern California.
K-Love for Christian music. That's what it turned into at 1 o'clock right after the Beatles. Bringing it all back around to Paul McCartney. No, Special Counsel Robert Mueller has issued a subpoena to the Trump campaign for more Russia-related documents. A source familiar with the matter said also to CNN. Wall Street Journal was the first to report on the request. Special Counsel has previously received the information that had already been handed over to Congress, but investigators felt there were things they didn't see. The new subpoena seeks more records based on various search terms. The source described it as a cleanup subpoena, expanding the search terms, and said it could take months for the campaign to respond because of the amount being asked for. The campaign is in the process of complying, the source said. And finally, Google, not enough memory to open this page? How is that? Okay. Google Chrome sucks. I just want that to be said on today's show. I should try the new Firefox, whatever they call it, Quantum or whatever it's called, because that seems to be all the rage at the moment. Google has announced a bunch of new updates coming to Assistant. It should make it possible for developers to make more functional applications that better integrate with your Google Assistant devices. There was an NPR story yesterday. Young gal, I don't know her name. She was all into this hip-hop Spanish artist. I don't know who he is, but saying, every time I said the name of the song, which is a Spanish word, Google Assistant devices couldn't figure out what she was saying until she actually asked the Spanish word on its own in a different context, and then the assistant was able to figure out, and then it actually learned while it was talking to her. Google Home was. One of the biggest additions in support for new languages, developers will now be able to write apps in Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Indian English, according to The Verge. Another major update is the ability for developers to create applications that take advantage of having both a Google Home and phone with Assistant, allowing home devices to hand off requests to smartphones for completion of actions, like, say, paying for a sandwich you ordered on your home. Google will... Yum. I love sandwiches. Have I told you how much I love sandwiches? Sandwiches. So if you don't have to specifically call them out by name, Google will also allow apps to recognize implicit requests. It's the difference between saying turn off the lights and saying have the Philips Hue app turn off the lights. So they are working on that. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. I don't want any of those in my house. None of them. None of those home assistants. The Amazon Echo, Alexa, Google's Home Assistant, Apple's whatever home thing, iHome, whatever they're calling it. No, because it's going to be listening to me all the time, and I don't like that. I'd rather have you listen to me and enjoy this podcast. Next show, no Super Secret Sunday show. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. You just haven't earned it yet, baby. Another Morrissey song. It's because my birthday is next Wednesday. And because of that, because I'll be working on Wednesday, I'm taking off this weekend for my part-time job. I've said enough, and it's been cray-cray there. It's been nuts. And people have not been pulling their weight there, and they need to start doing it. So I'm taking off this weekend. I've had enough for a while. At least for 2 days. I've had enough for 2 days. So no podcast Sunday, but if all goes well, we'll be back on Monday. So enjoy your weekend. I will be trying to do so as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and maybe go hug a bunny. Next show, it's going to be Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, the Brewmaster. Woohoo!
I know what's good and bad.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!